You know how they say be careful what you wish for? Yeah. Today's story is one of those. Grab your drink, sit down, and don't touch that dial. This one is going to break your heart and make you hug your friend a little less tightly after you hear it. Now let me tell you about Alice. Alice was not your average woman. No. Alice was the kind of woman that walked into a room and the room changed. She had this energy and vibrance that was almost impossible to ignore. She was a cultural dancer. And not just any dancer. Alice was the kind of dancer that made ancestors wake up from their graves and say, yes, that's it. That's what we meant. She moved like the music was coming from inside her bones. She belonged to one of the most prestigious cultural dance groups in her city. These were not your regular Owambe entertainers, no. These ones had a reputation. When they showed up at your wedding had arrived. Guests would abandon their food, forget their conversations, put down their drinks, just to watch Alice and her group perform. They knew their worth. Their booking fee, outrageously expensive, the kind of fee that made you check your account balance twice, but people paid it because their performance was worth every kobo. On the surface, Alice was living well. She had money, she had talent, she had a career she loved, she had a husband who adored her like she was the best thing God created. Then 10 years passed, and there was no baby shower, no naming ceremony, no little feet running across the floor, no tiny voice calling Alice mama or Emeka dada. Alice tried everything: local herbs, hospital tests, specialist doctors, prayer, fasting, more prayer, more herbs, more doctors. And then one day, a doctor sat across from her with that look on his face. You know that look, the one that tells you the news before the words even come out. And he told her, the problem was with her. Her body that could move a crowd of people to tears with a single dance, that body could not carry a child. I want you to imagine how that felt for a moment. This woman who gave life to every room she entered. This woman whose whole career was about celebration, about joy, about marking the biggest moments in other people's lives. Weddings, birthdays, ceremonies. She danced at other people's naming ceremonies, while her own womb stayed silent. Her husband Emeka stood by her. For 10 years, he stood by her, shut down every conversation his family tried to start, ignored the whispers, defended Alice every single time. But his family were not smiling, especially his mother. She mounted so much pressure on Emeka, and every family gathering became a tribunal with Alice on trial. Emeka, you are wasting your life. Your mates have children in secondary school. What will happen to our family name? Is it this woman you will grow old with and have nobody to bury you? The pressure was suffocating, and slowly even the most loving man has a breaking point. One evening, Emeka sat Alice down. He held her hands, he looked her in the eyes, and he told her he wanted a second wife. But he did not want to divorce Alice. He loved her very much. She was the wife of his youth. He wanted her to stay. He just needed a child. Now, at this point, most women would have walked away, packed their bags, called their lawyer. But Alice didn't, because Alice was terrified. Think about it from her perspective for a second. She had watched enough of life to know what happened when a new wife entered the picture. She had seen it happen to other women. The new wife comes in, gives the man children, and slowly the first wife becomes a stranger in her own home. Pushed to the corner until one day she's not even there anymore. Alice was not going to let that happen to her. And she planned. And she came up with what she believed was the most genius solution of her life. If a new wife must enter this house, I will be the one to choose her. And she knew exactly who she wanted. Her name was Ngozi. Alice and Ngozi went all the way back. Primary school, secondary school, university. 20-something years of friendship. The kind of friendship where you finish each other's sentences, where you know each other's secrets, where you've cried together, laughed together, been broke together, and celebrated together. Ngozi was unmarried, no husband, no children, and Alice trusted her with her whole heart. So Alice went to her, sat her down, told her everything, the diagnosis, the pressure, Emeka's request, her fears, and then she made her the offer. Marry my husband, have his children, but I remain first wife. I remain in this house, and we do this together. as friends. Now, I need you to think about what kind of person agrees to this arrangement. Because Nosy agreed. She said yes. Maybe she genuinely wanted to help her friend. Maybe she had always admired Emeka. Maybe she saw an opportunity. Maybe all three. But she said yes. Emeka, who had loved Alice enough to ask rather than just act, agreed too, touched by her love. And so with what felt like the most unusual but loving arrangement in the world, Emeka married Ngozi as second wife. Alice genuinely believed she had outsmarted her situation. She had no idea she had just opened the door to her own destruction. The first few months were fine. Ngozi was friendly and respectful. Emeka was careful. Alice held the household with the authority of a first wife. And then Ngozi got pregnant. And everything changed. It was like a switch flipped overnight. The woman Alice knew for 20-something years, the woman she had laughed and shared secrets with, that woman disappeared. And in her place stood someone Alice didn't recognize. The disrespect started small, the way it always does. A comment here, an attitude there, stopped greeting Alice in the mornings, started speaking to the house help directly, bypassing Alice completely, as if Alice was not the first wife, as if Alice was not even there. It escalated. And Ngozi started making comments about Alice's cooking. Emeka doesn't like this kind of food anymore, as if she had known Emeka for 20 years and Alice had just arrived. She started rearranging the kitchen, moving Alice's things, replacing Alice's plates with her own, small territorial moves that said one thing loud and clear, this house is mine now. And when Alice confronted her, Ngozi looked at her with those cold eyes and said something that cut Alice deeper than any knife ever could. What exactly are you doing in this house? You can't even give your husband a child. You are here because of my mercy. 20 years of friendship, and that's what it had come to. But Ngozi was not done. As her pregnancy progressed, she became more emboldened, more vicious. She told Emeka that Alice made her uncomfortable, that Alice looked at her with evil eyes, that she feared for her unborn baby. At first, Emeka dismissed it. He knew Alice. He loved Alice. But Ngozi was clever. She didn't just work on Emeka. She went to his family. Remember Emeka's mother, the same woman who had tortured Alice for years about having no children. Ngozi went to her, sat with her, bonded with her over the pregnancy, and then with perfect tears, she told her, Mama, I am scared. I think Alice is a witch. I think she wants to harm my baby. And Mama, who had never truly accepted Alice, received that information like a confirmation of everything she had always suspected. The family mobilized. Suddenly everyone was calling Emeka, visiting, pressuring. That woman is dangerous. She is barren because of what she has done. You want her to kill this baby too? Throw her out before something happens. Emeka resisted. For a while he resisted because deep down he knew Alice was not a witch. He knew his first wife was being destroyed by the very woman she had trusted. But the pressure from all sides, his mother, his family, Ngozi crying every night, the pregnancy making everything feel more urgent. And slowly the man who had loved Alice like rain loves dry season began to pull away. The day Alice was asked to leave, she said it didn't even feel real at first. She stood in the bedroom she had shared with Emeka for over a decade, looked at the walls she had painted, the curtains she had chosen, the life she had built inside those four walls. And she packed her bags. Emeka couldn't even look her in the eye. As she walked out of her gates, the gate she had entered as a young bride full of hope, she turned around one last time. And Ngozi was standing at the window, watching her leave, with a look on her face that Alice said she will never forget for the rest of her life. Not guilt, not shame, satisfaction. And if that wasn't bad enough, because life chooses to kick you when you're already on the ground, Alice's dance group started having issues. Internal conflict, money issues, mismanagement of fun, the kind of drama that destroys things that took years to build. The group that had been her identity, her income, her community disbanded. Just like that, the group collapsed. So in that same season, Alice lost her marriage, she lost her career. No husband, no home, no income, no children. Everything she had built, everything she had worked for, everything she had loved, gone. She moved back to her family, started from scratch at an age when she thought she would be settled, stable, secure. And in her lowest moment, sitting in her parents' house staring at the ceiling, Alice said something that has stayed with me since I heard this story. She said, if Emeka had gone out and found a wife himself, any woman off the street, that woman would have had something to prove to me. She would have respected me as the first wife, respected me as the senior wife. She would have been careful around me. But my friend had nothing to prove to me. She already knew all my weaknesses. She knew exactly where to cut, where to destroy, and where to kill. And that she did. Alice is rebuilding now. Slowly, painfully, but she's moving. She still dances privately for herself when nobody is watching. There's some things they cannot take from you no matter how hard they try. And Gozi, well, what goes around, as it always does, comes around. But that's a story for another day. This has been Real Talk with Esta. If this story moved you, like and share it, because somewhere out there is a woman standing at the same crossroads Alice stood at. And maybe, just maybe, this story will make her choose differently. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Goodbye and see you next time.